Hello and welcome to Quick Take TA. Today is April 23rd, 2024, and I am Landy. We are going to take a look at Bitcoin, of course, and follow up from where we left off on Friday. Now, this is being recorded on the 23rd. I will likely stream it while it's uploading to various sites like X and YouTube. But last time that we did that I did have a recorded video rather. Bitcoin had just spiked into not only the downside liquid zone here and run the lows again in this October of 2021 monthly closing area between 61,350 and the March closing monthly highs and quarterly closing high there at 58.8. That was a big zone. Bitcoin did run the lows again and then choose the upside route after regaining in Saturday's candle the lower first standard deviation and found resistance right where we expected it at around $65,000. Now, of course, I did mention above there, any closes above $65,000, then I would immediately look to around the basis band, which Bitcoin is currently trading at now, and specifically around this wick high, which is coming in at $67,000. Now, we have seen this run twice. We have not seen a close above it. But if we do see a close above it on any significant time frame below a daily like a 4 or a 6 hour, then I would start to look up to the prior cycle high again at $69,000 where the daily upper first standard deviation is coming in. If Bitcoin can trade and close at minimum a daily and possibly even a 12-hour above that area, then we're looking somewhere around these two failed highs at between $70,000 and $72,000 or so. Now, if Bitcoin can close above there and of course get above the upper second standard deviation, I still need to see it closing above this wick high here at 72,800. And of course, the all-time high it needs to breach and close above while being above the upper second standard deviation to initiate expansion to the upside. Now, we've previously talked about this quite a bit. I do have a zone of interest just above the highs here, or the all-time high if you like, where the upper third standard deviation is coming in somewhere around $75,000 to the 1272 fib from a local poll, which is coming in at $78,000. So a zone of interest between 75 and 78. Above there, an additional zone of interest. If Bitcoin can close above that 1272 or wick above it, get above there in lower term timeframes, then we have a zone of interest between 78 and 80 here at the 1414. And then, of course, above the 1414, we're looking mid to low 80s initially. Of course, we would likely be looking for quite a bit more over time, but around 85 to low $80,000 region where this 1618 is coming in. So, Bitcoin has not initiated any kind of a move thus far outside of just range moves. This is looking like a bull flag at this point. If you are a pattern trader, the triangle traders got wrecked. So let's go ahead and call out another pattern to get wrecked on, and that would be the bull flag. Now, of course, for those of you that understand what I'm kind of jabbing at here is I'm not a pattern trader at all. And no, if patterns work for you, that's great. And one of the reasons why most patterns work is because they were based on trend. In this case, bull flags would be based on a downtrend that is creating divergence. So let's go ahead and check on that. We can see that we have a bit of a cool down in progress here as Bitcoin is around the basis band of the Bollinger Bands. But if we check on our RSI here, Bitcoin did bounce off the bearish control zone down here. It did even wick into it intraday. But, we have, multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence going on here. This low on RSI right here is coming in from February 23rd. So if you're not familiar with where that area is, that is actually the consolidation prior to the move up to make new all-time highs. And that was the consolidation around the weeklies here at 50,000 to 51.8 on the close, with that overhead resistance being at $53,000 there. Now, this was historical overhead resistance when Bitcoin approached it from the other side, coming in from September of 2021. That was a weekly swing high that held Bitcoin down there at $53,000, and the close opens from August and December of 2021, respectively, held as support. Now, Bitcoin is getting, confirmed drives of hidden bullish divergence from that prior range. So you know, this would qualify as a valid bull flag. And what do you need to see? You need to see a breakout above at minimum the lower swing high here to, for many people that trade that way for confirmation. I don't trade that way. I'm a volatility trader, which is why you see bands on the chart all the time with the volatility levels of interest. Now, I probably should note that if Bitcoin does fail here at the basis and subsequently put in a high on the daily, how would it do that? At least from here, it's going to throw a swing high or confirm a swing high, I should say, on any closures below around 65,823. But I would need to see it break down from $65,000. And then realistically, the next big area that I would be looking for is between $65,000 and the lower first standard deviation down here, which is coming in at around 63,800, which just so happens to be this closing low structure over here. Now, if Bitcoin did, of course, break down from there, I would look for a retest of the lower second standard deviation. That is one of my favorite plays. It's a counter trend play where we get expansion to the downside and then through the Bollinger Bands on the bottom side and then go back and retest. It's one of my favorites. Of course, you don't just blindly take it. You have to evaluate price when it gets there. But in this case, that's coming in right at that monthly there at 61,350. The top side of this big monthly zone. So 61,350 to that 58.8. And as long as Bitcoin is closing daily and higher term timeframes above this 58.8 area, and of course above all of the local structure wick lows as well within this zone, then I'm pretty much looking for the low to be in. I'd be looking for a retest. But if it does start breaching down below that 58.8, I would look for further downside, maybe the mean pullback, which again, for those of you that have not seen that, that is the 20 to 22%. I typically, reference it. 20% is the lows. It's right there at the quarterly at 58.8. 22% is somewhere around $56,000 to $58,000, depending on your chart. That's the pullback that Bitcoin has been doing ever since the actual macro low has been in. Doesn't mean it's going to occur right here. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But if it did start to breach down below 58.8, I wouldn't just be looking for that. If it did not immediately recover this monthly zone, it specifically closed back above 61,350. But if you did see any kind of a breakdown below 58.8 on a longer term time frame, like a daily and longer term, I should say, then eventually I would be looking for a retest of this $53,000 to around $50,000 at the weeklies that Bitcoin consolidated at just earlier this year. So, so there is local support structure down there. Of course, that's a very big move down from here. Likely scare the absolute crap out of everyone in this market. And then once thoroughly scaring everybody out of their pants, and having them maybe do a number two in those in there, but and then take off to the upside and march on with the rest of this bull run. Honestly, if Bitcoin did do that, I do think for those of you that watched yesterday's live stream, I do think that Bitcoin would be in for a much longer form bull market. I'll give you my thoughts whenever this structure breaks out to the upside. If it does fail to move down any lower and start to push up and break out to the upside, I will give you my thoughts on some of the longer term here in recorded format. I typically talk about it in my live streams, though. Now, something to be aware of is that Bitcoin is, its momentum has shifted to the upside. Obviously, put in a pretty big low down there. Although, if Bitcoin does fall below around 65, 63.8, I'd be looking for a retest of the current lows at minimum. And that's a big zone of interest for myself as well. That is not trading or financial advice, but that is a big zone of interest if it does fail to continue to push up. Like I said, above $67,000, I think it's going to be up and away to at minimum $69,000 to $70,000. If it can close above there, then we're looking at the highs and higher, right? Well, the Stoke would cross down on any closures back below 63,250. So do be aware of that, but that would only be an initial cross down. When looking for full momentum shift, when looking at a regular Stoke like this, you want to see a follow through close over close. So as it stands right now, momentum is pointed to the upside on the daily. And I wanted to point this out, the 2-day, nice little move down into the lower second, lower third zone, right into support. So expansion into support, bounce right back up. you can see that if Bitcoin on the 2-day chart does get above the $69,000 to $70,000 region, it's essentially a range between the upper first and upper second before expansion again. So that's coming in between 70 and basically the highs here around 73 to 73, 835 at the all-time high. If Bitcoin started to close above there, you're looking for expansion to the upside. If it does reject the basis, start closing below the lower second, that's still right into support. But if support breaks down, you're looking for continuation of that expansion. Now, we did just see a new 2-day open. And what we can observe here is that the 2-day has confirmed hidden bullish divergence as well. So, not something that is like ready to cook right now, but it is in progress and may occur with this current 2-day setup. We do also see with that bullish divergence populating a shift in momentum on the 2-day. So, it is a little bit more biased towards pressure up on the daily and 2 days. It stands right now. Any closes back below 62,731 in the next 2 days would blunt that momentum, as this is just an initial cross to the upside. So just like I talked about on the daily, an initial cross to the downside, you need to see follow through. Well, we need to see follow through with a closure above around that 62,700. So basically 62,800. And that does provide Bitcoin some room on the 2-day to test to the downside. So, just below $65,000, if it wants to wick fish, is perfectly fine. Now, more importantly, this is the chart that I'm most interested in, and I'm going to leave you with this. The 3-day just got its close open, so we are in a new 3-day candle. This was a beautiful expansion to the upside, and now we are getting compression on the 3-day. Closes back below the lower second standard deviation, just happens to line up. These volatility levels you're going to find are going to line up with support and resistance almost all the time, at least the very important ones. The lower second standard deviation is down here at that 61,300, 61,350 area, right at the October of 2021 monthly close. If we did start to see closes below there or wick fishing below there, it's right into support, right? To the upside, though, if Bitcoin can regain the $69,000 to $70,000 region and then start closing above the upper second standard deviation, there's not much in the way of expansion to the upside. So we can see that closing above the upper second standard deviation, which is coming in right around where all the daily and 2-day areas of importance are up there, in the $72,000 to $73,000 area, start closing above there. You're looking at 3-day expansion to the upside. And this is telling me that Bitcoin is setting up for a very large move. And in my opinion, that move will be to the upside. Now, I've shown you some of the data already. Now, granted, the 3-day isn't ready just yet. In my personal opinion, we do need to see a momentum shift. And then, of course, with that momentum shift, we need to see the actual zones of interest or criteria met, or conditions met, if you like, for that move to the upside with closes above, especially $69,000, regaining that prior cycle all-time high, and moving up to then reclaim the current all-time high and get expansion, more importantly. Now, Bitcoin also confirmed on the 3-day by setting this low, which it did set a low. We do have a 3-candle low and a swing low, so we do also see bullish divergence yet again. The 4-day, we're going to move on and look at this 4-day because this is closing in 2 days. So this is the next one that we're looking to confirm. Not so interested in that chart just yet, but this is going to confirm on Thursday. So we're going to see this, if Bitcoin holds the current zone that it's in, it's also going to get another drive of hidden bullish divergence, which is a continuation drive. So if you're not familiar, that just means that with the pressure up on the daily, all of the bull divs going on, more than likely we are looking at continuation to the upside, at minimum to test overhead resistances. That does not rule out wick fishing to the bottom side or running those lows again. And the only way that this is invalidated is on any breakdown of around 58.8 on a daily and higher term time frame close. That's where this would be invalidated. Otherwise, things are setting up to move to the upside, in my opinion. Now, this was a little bit longer today yet again. So not so quick take TA. And the main reason why is I will not be around for the rest of the week. This is my last stream and recording for the week, as I do have my son who is going to be going into surgery soon. So we're going to be dealing with that and preparing for that over the next few days, and then of course dealing with that. But everything's good. There's not any major issues, but the process is going to be a little lengthy. So I will be back. If possible, I will be back at least with a recording on the weekend, Saturday, maybe Sunday, if I am able to get back home. Otherwise, I will not be speaking with you in recorded or live format until sometime next week. So you have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend potentially, if I don't speak with you before then, or speak to you, rather. This is not a two-way conversation, as it turns out. The live streams are, but yeah, you have a wonderful weekend, wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe, and of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that said, Landy out. Take care.